Hello and welcome to another episode of the Plastics Podcast. Joining me, Jacob Burke, and my co-host, Blair Lacrosse. In England, the smaller teams are making the headlines. Brentford have a strong showing against Wolves, led by Ivan Toney. Aston Villa light up Everton with a crazy cameo from Leon Bailey. And Brighton continue their upward progress against Leicester, questionable calls or not. Elsewhere, the Champions League has begun. Bayern smash Barcelona and make a strong case for themselves as the best team on the continent. Madrid edge out Inter. PSG take on Lyon in Ligue 1. What to take away from the recent fixture results in Europe?
Do it. Yeah, besides me, right? But I kind of got my hands full with these babies.
He's got bees! No bees! Oh, get it!
They don't allow you to have bees in here.
And business was...
Blair, how are you?
I'm good, Jacob. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah.
Excellent. In the Premier League, they do let you have bees.
They have to. Otherwise, there'd just be 19 teams.
Aren't Watford like the Hornets or something?
No, they're moose.
Are they moose?
They're moose and
okay.
they're elk. They're No, the Hornets are something different. Mascot for Watford. It's a moose or an elk. Shoot, you're right. It's Harry the Hornet. Why is there a moose on their logo?
There's a moose on their badge. Yeah, I don't really know what that's about. Maybe that's where Hornets like to hang out.
On moose?
On vacation, yeah.
It's possible. That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
You know, mascots aren't as much of a thing in soccer as they are, say, in football.
Yeah, they're not really emphasized as much.
Or American football, I should say.
Yeah, and yeah, even like the NBA, like there's mascots, but they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, but you
There's
see the mascots like on the sideline, egging on the players, and trying to annoy them.
Yeah,
even in like the footage, right? I mean, and I just don't see that.
Yeah, they don't really. Arsenal had Gunnarsaurus.
Oh, that whole controversy.
Yeah, They executed him, I think. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
exactly,
no, I think that was exactly what happened on the field.
He was executed
Halftime.
publicly,
Yeah.
for his crimes. I don't know what he did exactly, but yeah, wasn't great. It was really brutal. A lot of kids there.
Because Arsenal were short on the funds and they had to cut where they could. They were paying them $20 an hour cash.
That's what they say, but I don't know if they were really short on funds. How's your week, Jacob?
So, okay, I started running. When I say running, I meant I ran once.
Yeah.
And my legs now are very sore, and I realize that I am out of shape.
Running is like bowling, where you don't remember why you stopped doing it until you try it once.
I don't know. I find bowling fun. I get very frustrated when I don't immediately be successful at. Like if I don't bowl at 300, I'm mad.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not enjoying the game.
Yeah, like you go and like maybe you get a strike or two and you're like, okay, that was cool, but like I don't know if I really had fun doing that, you know?
Now my shoulder's a little sore, and why are we lugging this giant ball around?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. And you got those big goofy shoes on. I'm liable to slip in those things. So
yeah, what's the deal with those shoes? They don't help me, obviously. You could look at my performances.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so running, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Have you been doing anything to take up your time, better your health? Or not?
Not trying to better my health in any significant way. But I have been spending a lot of time at the movies this week, Jacob. I am a movie goer now. I kind of stopped doing that during COVID, but
you don't
the movies are back, baby.
Okay. They are.
They're coming hot and heavy.
Can you, because you have gone to, I think, 3 or 4.
3 movies.
Yeah. Can you tell the audience which ones?
Yeah, so Wife of a Spy. It's a Japanese movie directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Oh, okay.
Then there was the cow counter.
The cow
counter.
The cow crowder.
It's one of those meditations you do to try to fall asleep.
The card counter. That's the one.
Counter.
Okay.
Paul Schrader movie.
Yep.
And then finally we saw The Green Knight together
Yes.
as a house, as an apartment. And I don't remember who directed that, but yeah, bit of a lineup. I think my favorite was The Card Counter of the three.
I think The Green Knight being the most widely advertised movie of those three.
Yeah, it's weird because Paul Schrader is like a big director, and he is of renown, I guess. But that movie just kind of like slipped in out of nowhere, and they didn't really like advertise it very much. So I saw a bunch of angry reviews where people were like, "This movie has nothing to do with counting cards." And it's true, it doesn't. But like,
does it not even like tangentially like mentions gambling?
So okay, it does. I mean, it has a theme where like the guy does count cards, but it's not like the movie's based around him gambling and like that's the plot. It's just kind of a plot device. So yeah.
Did you ever see First Flight?
First Flight.
Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry. First Man. It had Ryan Gosling, and it was about the moon missions.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't about the moon missions.
Yeah.
It was about the astronauts dealing with all this shit around them.
Yeah.
And people were mad because I didn't get to see a rocket.
Yeah. That was kind of like a drama, I guess, more than it was like sci-fi or something. Yeah.
You'll notice, or that is, if you're watching us, you'll notice that we have a cool camera. And by a cool camera, I mean a phone taped to a tripod. And if you can see it, we got a cool sign because every time we say where you can find us, I always forget what our handles are.
Yeah, that's really convenient.
Yeah, so there's our sign in case you've forgotten what you're watching. And now you can see me and Blair and producer Maddie all live react to what we're saying and maybe furiously Google things we're not sure of. Blair, you're wearing an interesting tank top from a maybe obscure team. Can you tell us what league that's from?
Yeah, it's from the Big North Conference. Yeah, so I was studying to be a semi-professional basketball player before I injured my knee.
Yeah.
In the war, and
can you turn your chest for the camera?
Yeah, it's that. It says Alpina basketball on it. I played basketball in high school, and it's hot in New York still. Inside. Yeah. So I wear this tank top a lot.
We're gonna start wearing actual shirts at some point. It's just not anytime soon.
Shirt season's coming though, and I can't wait for it.
Alpina Wildcats, go Wildcats.
Yeah,
it's a Wildcat.
Always a Wildcat. Yeah.
Okay, thank God.
We had a mascot, and it looked like the Wildcat was like it had rabies or something. It was a mean looking Wildcat. It wasn't a friendly looking Wildcat.
Okay.
It's kind of
like a feral Wildcat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a wild cat. I mean, it was so.
Like you needed to get your shots if you got bit by this cat.
Yeah, it was a big cat.
Not a cool cat.
All you cool cats and kittens.
All right. Enough of this. Let's actually start. Let's talk about why we're here. So we're going to cover Wolves facing Brentford first. Brentford were at Molineux Stadium, and they secured a valuable away win, 2-0. Blair, Ivan Toney, and Mbuemo are a fantastic duo up front.
Yes.
I think Toney got a goal and an assist, and then Mbuemo got a goal, I believe.
Yeah, so the assist was set up by Toney, and yeah, I mean, they just kind of formed like a really good counter-attacking partnership. So like the way Watford are set up, they are like a pretty defensive formation, and then they're relying on their two strikers working together to spring the counter when Wolves were sort of out of shape when they were kind of transitioning from attack to defense. And yeah, I mean, that sort of thing, you rely on your two strikers having like a pretty good working relationship, but also like they need to work very, very hard because they're doing a lot of running. And yeah, I mean, both of them did that. So that was kind of how they found success. And yeah, I was pretty impressed with what I saw from both of them.
Yeah, they did really good with the chances they had. I know one of them was a penalty and that Toney converted successfully. Surprising when you look at his run-up that he scores as many as he does. I think I saw a figure somewhere where it was 15 in a row from the championship to here.
Penalties?
Yeah.
Without missing.
Without missing. He's 15 for 16, I believe.
Pretty good.
Yes. People, and when I say people, I mean critics abroad, don't think Tony's skills will translate to the Premier League as we get deeper into the season, but he had he was a leader in assists and goals in the championship. Do you personally rate him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I like Ivan Toney. He's talked a lot of trash about Arsenal since they beat us, which is, every time I see it, I'm like, damn you, Tony. But I can't blame him because they won. Fair is fair. But yeah, I do like him quite a bit. I think I would be very happy to see him wearing my club's shirt as a striker. I think he's a pretty big physical player. He's got pretty good skill in a variety of areas. I think he can hold it up all right. He obviously connects well with his second striker, so he can pick out a pass, and he's a pretty solid finisher. He's only on, I think, 2 goals this season, but coming from the championship to the Premier League, your output, I think the conventional wisdom with some pretty big fluctuations or I guess a big plus minus, is that like your output from the championship to the Premier League is sort of halved. So you're not going to see somebody with 30 goals and 17 assists coming from the championship to the Premier League and repeating that sort of form. That would be absolutely insane. But yeah, I think he's shown that he can be a pretty high quality striker. What do you think?
I agree. As someone who is loyally sticking to him in my fantasy team, I think that he just needs some time to really get into the groove of the Premier League, and you're going to see him be clutch when he needs to be. I don't think that he's going to have a trajectory like some other championship teams where they start off hot because they're here to fight for a place and then they taper off because the intensity of the league is just too much for him. You saw that with Pukki. The last time Norwich were here. So I think he's not done.
Yeah. Alexander Mitrovic was sort of like that too with Fulham. And I think a similar accusation was levied against Patrick Bamford when they came up. There's a lot of questions about.
I think he silenced the critics there.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but there was a lot of questions like, is he a Premier League quality striker?
Right.
And he showed himself to be that.
And obviously, I think every striker from a promoted side kind of gets that. And it's just a matter of who answers the questions and who doesn't.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, I think Tony certainly will do that. So, on the day, Tony and Mbeumo teamed up for 5 of Brentford's 8 shots, and obviously had the goal and the assist, or both goals and an assist from Tony. So
very valuable in their 5-3-2 that they took to Wolves. Let's move down into their midfield for a second. Christian Norgard plays as their defensive midfielder. Pretty good stuff from him at the game. Had a lot of valuable tackles. Was pretty hard in his efforts. And I'm looking at their formation right now, and he's kind of central to the whole thing. I think if you go back and watch some of their plays, he starts most of the build-up with dispossessing a player with a quick pass to Baptiste or Cano, and then booming that down the line on their fast break.
Yeah, exactly. He really was like sort of the hub in the middle of their team for sure. He was really busy on the day. And yeah, his name was just constantly being called by the commentators. So yeah, I think he had a really great performance and certainly showed, I think, Brentford on a whole, but he certainly showed maybe a Fred, how you can successfully cover the midfield against Wolves' counterattack.
Do you want to talk about Fred? Is that why you brought him on?
I think we talked about him, and then after I rewatched the highlights of that game, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Fred's like, he's tripping. He's tripping in the midfield. I don't know. He wasn't looking too good, so.
Yeah, he played today. We won't. Okay, so we're not going to talk about any of the big 6 today. So
We are talking about the Big Six, Jacob.
We
Brighton.
Okay.
Brighton's in the Big Six.
That's true. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
And I guess Leicester can be like kind of a. Well, I mean, like for the future, right? Not right now. They're 13th, the 12th. They're somewhere around there, but it's
12th,
early days. Okay, so Christian Norgard, Ivan Toney. Who was the other guy we singled out?
Jacob. The other guy that we singled out was Ayer.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about him because he played fine as a right-sided center back, but he had some moments where he was just being the perfect bastard towards the other team. It was just really aggravating and riling up the Wolves players and, wasting time. The kind of guy that you love if he's on your team and then you just absolutely despise if you're trying to come back from a deficit and he's busy just slowly. He's kind of like
Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah, I guess. I don't want to call him names because he had a fantastic game, but he can be a real bitch.
Yeah, sometimes it's useful when you get in their head like that.
Yeah.
We saw that with Emi Martinez in the penalty shootout.
What a beautiful little psychological tactic.
Yeah.
And I think it takes some confidence because if you do that and they still convert the penalty,
it's really easy to be made the fool when you trash talk. And so, yeah, my personal approach to trash talk is to wait until things are absolutely clear. The win is there, it's in my hands, and then I go, yes, suck it.
I only trash talk in Rocket League when I'm up 10.
Yeah, if I trash talk and then it immediately blows up in my face, I just feel awful. So, yeah, hats off to him. That's takes a little bit of courage.
Okay, enough of the Brentford praise. Let's talk about Wolves for a second before we move on. 0 shots on target. 0. Not one. Nada.
Yeah.
I think everyone's saying this, and I made a tweet about it that got the most amount of likes I've ever had on my Twitter.
Huge.
I'm viral now, by the way.
Everyone is.
I'm getting sponsors. But Traoré is just a great player. He is able to find space. He is able to dribble through the defense, and he's able to create situations where they really shouldn't be in the first place. We saw this several times against Brentford, where he would dribble through the lines, and he would find himself in a bit of space around the 18 or towards the end of the field. But then when he's there, he just loses any sense of what to do. And I think this has been a story more or less almost any time the Wolves have been on a good run of form. What are you supposed to do with Adama Traoré?
So, yeah, there's this saying in football.
American football. Yeah.
When you're punting the ball to the other team that you don't want to outkick your coverage, which basically means you've got guys streaking down the field at the guy who's receiving the ball from the other team. And you don't want to kick it beyond the distance that they're going to get to or that they're going to run by the time it lands at the opponent's hands, basically, right? Because then they can have a bunch of space, make a move, and potentially have a dangerous return. This is my way of saying, do you think Adama Traoré outruns his teammates, gets to the other side of the field, and then realizes, oh shit, I have 4 opponents around me, and no one has quite caught up with me yet?
It's just me, man. Where is everyone?
He's on Adama Island.
I think he certainly has the speed to do that, yeah. And I can, and sometimes, yeah, definitely. He just runs away, gets a bit of tunnel vision, and away he goes. He's off to the races.
Yeah.
And no one can catch him. And he gets there, and then he looks around, and everyone's, 10, 15 yards behind him, trying to catch up. But I think more often than not, there are players but he either doesn't see them and goes for gold, or he'll cross it. And you made this remark at the game when we were watching it, and it goes way over everyone and off to the sidelines, and the play kind of just collapses, and it's a throw-in for the other team.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like he's almost better at crossing when he's all the way out to like the touchline.
Or like the more pressure he's under.
Yeah.
If he's got space and he tries to cross it, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's going to go like a mile. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. After you said that, it happened several times that just proved your point, where like the minute he was about to go out, he crosses it and it's like a perfect like inside the 6. And
yeah.
Like, oh man, that could have been something. But then when he's like out towards the middle of the final third, it just whizzes past everyone.
Yeah, sometimes he needs like the sand wedge, but he's just always using the 3-wood.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like this.
Yeah. So yeah, Traoré is a really interesting attacking player with some really tremendous assets and some really glaring flaws.
Who is Traoré's caddy?
Traoré's caddy. I'm going to say it's going to be like a stack of 45-pound plates.
Yeah, he lists. I mean, no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
He doesn't lift.
Yeah, no. But like when he goes to go to bed, obviously he has to make his bed out of all these 45 plates.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just like strategically placed weights around his house that he has to just move around so he can sit on the couch or whatever.
Yeah, it's a natural way of life for him.
Yeah.
The man who is all natural.
Yeah, so from Trincao, Traoré, and Jimenez, they achieved 4 shots.
Yeah, and so Wolves are a very good team this year, from what they've shown us, and I think their entire team is actually very strong. They just had I don't think they clicked this game. Ruben Neves is someone who I go back and forth on a lot with this sort of thing, because he sometimes will just hit these crazy shots, but most of the time he tries to take them and he's missing them. And if you have 0 shots on target and you've got a guy like Ruben trying to create something, I don't think that's what you want. I don't think you want to rely on these worldy goals to tie a game against a team like Brentford.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's like nothing really more deflating to sort of some kind of attacking work that your team is doing than like a speculative long distance shot that just ends up in like the 3rd row. Especially
if you're trying to play this type of soccer that relies on creating things through the center or the side, and you, in theory, should be trying to find that hole or trying to find that runner behind the team. And if you're doing these sorts of things, I think as a fan, it can be really frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think this might have been the first game where some of the criticism, or I don't know, the numbers seem to more match up, I guess, with what the outcome of the game was for Wolves this time. You know, no shots on target. They didn't really achieve much of a threat for goal, and 0 goals seems more earned in this case than they've had in previous games. So I think this one might be a bit more of a worry if you're a Wolves fan than their previous performances. And that leads me to a question, Jacob.
Yeah. What's up?
At what point do you start to worry that even though the underlying numbers look okay, and there's the team's playing some interesting soccer, the performances aren't leading to points? At what point do you start to worry? We're only 5 games in.
Yeah, only 5 games in. It's definitely early. I don't think there's any reason to panic right now. The season's just started. The Wanderers, the Wolves, the Wandering Wolves, don't have quite the schedule that some of these other teams have with other games. Wait, hang on. Are Wolves in Europe? Are they in the Europa League? No, they're not. No,
I don't think so.
Okay, so no, they don't have this other cup game to worry about. So I think they're fine. I think I think if they continue playing the way they have been, they should average out to a mid-table or upper mid-table place. I don't think, and I think Adama Traoré is still a good player. I sounded like I was bashing him. I still think he's a good player.
No, he's very good. Like, he would improve a lot of teams in the Premier League, and I think his skill set, it's not that he's a bad player, it's just that you need to sort of be able to find a way to work around his flaws, because if you can accentuate the positives in his game, you have a really, really useful player. So,
okay, let's move on to Aston Villa Everton. Aston Villa. Ooh, what's up?
Open Everton's account, gives it to Damari Gray. Gray, so close, shifted it well, got it onto his right foot, and was inches away from putting Everton in front. Cash is into the penalty area. Matty Cash scores for Aston Villa. His first ever goal for the club.
That was not nearly enthusiastic enough for a guy named Matty Cash.
Cash money.
Matty Cash scored. No, it's Matty Cash.
Yeah, come on.
He's done it.
Come on. You gotta get the diaphragm into it, you know? It's too much vocal cord. It's all up here. You gotta get it down in the in your loins.
Dude, but how badly did we test the audios there?
That was we're testing.
All right, we're gonna see how that sounds later. Yeah, Aston. So, this game, Aston Villa beat Everton 3-0, in an electric second half.
Yes.
I think you even say that here, and I'll let you expound upon that. But we were watching it, and it was very boring to me. I was not having a fun time.
Can I just read the progression of feeling that we have down here in the doc?
Yeah, where do we have that?
Ooh, it looks like you might have gotten rid of it, but it said something like, I want to go to sleep, this is boring, and then Matty Cash is a lot of fun, and then it was like 3-0 Aston Villa.
Yeah, no, and then I said, it was Matty Cash, winky face, and then Aston Villa are so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, and then right before that it was, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a live reaction and how that changed as the game continued, and it happened. It seemed to happen all at once. Aston Villa, they just found that switch. They turned it on, and Everton were helpless at that point. Matty Cash got a goal. Leon Bailey had a nice cross that turned into an own goal, and then Leon Bailey had a goal. Leon Bailey is human electricity. Blair, you wrote this.
Yes.
Can you tell me why he's Static Shock?
I really respect what Leon Bailey did here because he came on in the 61st minute of the game and they scored a goal 5 minutes later. He didn't really have anything to do with it. It was Matty Cash's goal, which was pretty sick, cash money. But he scored a goal
Cash money.
in the 75th minute. And then I'm sorry, let me back up.
Yeah.
He had a cross into the box from a corner kick that Luka Dean headed, unfortunately, into his own net. If it was a Aston Villa player, it would have looked like a nice header. It was a very unfortunate header for Luka Dean. That came off of Bailey's foot. From there, the game was kind of wide open. Everton were down. And Leon Bailey, on the break, scored, 6 minutes later in the 75th minute.
Yeah, from a very, you can talk about a very composed finish.
Yeah, for sure. He was on the left side of the box. He just kind of came in and, ripped a finish. It was sort of one-on-one. I think there's a a Everton defender kind of tracking back, but he found all kinds of space and, finished quite clinically. So really excellent performance from what Bailey offered. In the 21 minutes he was on the field, the guy came, he did his job, and he was like, all right, I'm out. 21 minutes later.
Saw, conquered. All right, I got to go get some food, guys.
You got to respect it, man. It's like, I did my job. I got what I needed done today. So, I'm going to go home, soak my feet, drink some wine.
Play some Rocket League.
Yeah. That's how everyone should live. So, really impressed with Leon Bailey and his performance.
Turning out to be a pretty good signing Danny Ings and Leon Bailey, pretty good.
Pretty good.
What do we say about Aston Villa? They're just some dudes on the field.
Bunch of dudes, man.
Just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, I really like their options, though. Like, they had Bertrand Traoré that could bring off the bench. Leon Bailey came off the bench. I don't know. Did Buendia?
Douglas Luiz. Great player.
Yeah, Douglas Luiz.
I'm looking here, and he had a shot. Hang on. Let me prove. I need vindication here. He had 27 accurate passes. That means nothing to me. Yeah, and I think Matty Cash is great. John McGinn's a solid player. I think he was subbed off, though.
Yeah, I think he had a concussion, actually. So.
Oh, what?
Unfortunate for McGinn.
I did not see that.
I thought I heard that in the match commentary that McGinn had confirmed a concussion. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but yeah, subbed off in the 40th minute. So, a bit unfortunate for him. He's, one of their better players, but hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Aston Villa have found this place at this point without without Grealish, because we have to talk about Grealish when we talk about Aston Villa, and I think they've maintained an identity beyond a player. If you can think of some other team in Spain that has that same problem, and they look really fun. And if they're not facing Liverpool, I always root for them. So,
same.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I only root for them when they play Liverpool, actually. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think they'll do really well. I don't know where they sit on the table. If we can just bring that up really quickly.
I've actually got it up.
Oh, you've got it up?
Yeah, because I thought I might circle back to this at the end.
Okay.
Aston Villa are 10th right now.
Pretty good. Oh, yeah. Wait, what was that about? The cool zone.
Oh, they're in the cool zone, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I think Brentford being at 9th is that's cool zone. Brighton being at 4th, that's also cool zone. Villa being at 10th, that's probably cool zone. That's probably cool zone. But yeah, Leicester and Arsenal are not in cool zone. They're in one of the rings of hell at the moment. So, Watford 11th too. That's cool zone.
Who's in? Who's last?
Last place in Norwich City.
Right. Okay. Back to Aston Villa, because we haven't talked about Everton.
Yeah. So I wanted to point out something here.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't know that we've talked much about Everton this year, if at all.
No.
And we kind of caught them at a bad time.
Yeah. Sorry, is this a bad time? Sorry. Yeah, Rafa Benitez. Yeah, so it's weird to see Rafa Benitez coach Everton because he used to coach Liverpool, and you don't often, or never, I should say, I think, ever see a coach do the Everton and Liverpool route. A not classic route that it doesn't happen because there's some history there, obviously. And additionally, they've got Richarlison not there. They've got the drama surrounding James Rodriguez.
Yep,
that's been ongoing.
Pickford wasn't there.
Pickford was out indeed, and Fabian Delph, shoulder injury. DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for those unaware of the DCL, not there as well. I think probably their most important player. So yeah, they didn't come having their A squad, admittedly.
Yeah, so the 0.7 goals, expected goals they achieved on the day, the one shot on target of the 11 they took. Maybe that's kind of more down to the fact that they just didn't have most of their attacking threat on the field for the game.
Michael Keane also had a pretty bad defensive game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah. So for the first half, it was both teams trying to just feel each other out, right? But then when Aston Villa scored and Everton had to then open up, once they opened up, they weren't dangerous anymore.
Yeah.
They seemed so afraid to get caught that they never tried to really threaten Aston Villa. And I think that might be the problem if they start to go down first as the season continues. And maybe like you said, that was a symptom of not having their 18 there. But I mean, still, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you look at it, I mean, Villa's 3 goals came in the course of 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like an explosion of scoring, and the second goal was their own goal. So I think that's kind of it's a big demoralizer for Everton. To have that, the first goal you go down, sometimes you see teams respond really well. They kind of, pick up the energy, the movement, and, they kind of have to come out of their shells a bit to obviously get back into the game. But, 3 minutes later after you concede your first goal, you kick it in your own net. That's just like, it's a huge demoralizing moment. So, I think Villa did really well, though, to exploit that. So, yeah.
It's the Villa Boys. Okay, sorry.
The villains.
The villains. I'm sure that's been used.
I think so. I think that's kind of like a thing for them, right? Maybe.
Is it?
I don't know.
What's Aston Villa's mascot?
Well, there's a lion on the
You can't just say that. That's boring.
crest. Are we going to make one up?
No, I'm going to ask you, and you're going to give me a wild guess. Okay. Oh, hey, what's his name?
Aslan.
Well, it's Hercules the lion.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, you weren't far off.
Okay, cool.
I think. Oh, wait, hang on. No, this is from an article from 2018. It's a fan. So, no, it's his name. We can just call him Hercules, though. But he doesn't look threatening at all. He's a very happy guy wearing an acorn shirt.
Oh.
He's pretty cute.
That's a nice line.
Yeah.
I like the female one of it. She's got bigger eyelashes.
Where do you see that? Oh, the yeah,
like
you're
the
right.
Lola Bunny lion.
How do we know if it's a girl?
She's got the bigger eyelashes.
There you go.
Is that how you know? Okay.
I don't
That's
know.
how they do like
Animated figures.
figures.
Yeah.
How do we make it?
We'll
look
make it
female?
pink.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't want we talked about not talking about XG too much on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't mean that much. But Aston Villa getting 3 goals from 1.3 XG is pretty good.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what was the game we talked about? The Newcastle United game.
Yep.
Where the scoreline definitely did not really match what the expected goals showed.
No.
So, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
What can you do? I think, unless Jacob, you have anything else to add, I think Everton might be a team we have to revisit at some point when they are in full power, full form.
Hang on. Yeah, let me go through all of these teams because there are some teams we haven't really touched on, right? So
Yeah.
Everton's one of them. I think Watford is another one
For sure.
that we really haven't talked about. Southampton is a third.
Yeah.
And have we talked about Newcastle?
I think maybe we talked about them a little bit with the United game. Did we even talk about that one?
Let's just throw Newcastle in there. We've talked about Burnley. We've talked about Norwich City. Norwich City really, though, only in relation to Josh Sargent. But I guess we'll hit those guys at some point. So we're not just talking about big teams or flavors of the week. Because this is an all-inclusive podcast, and we don't want to just be wankers, right? Am I using that right?
Right.
That's okay. Okay.
That's the international sign for it, Jacob.
Yeah. I just like if you do the really quiet grunt. Okay. Let's move on. Let's keep going. Brighton, Leicester City. Today's match happened And it was, Maddie, you watched most of this because you are a Leicester fan. You're a fox. You're a human, but you're also a fox. The Lamech Stadium is where Brighton play.
What does the fox say?
Here we go. Can you make it a loud noise because you don't have a microphone? Can I turn the microphone to you?
Oh God, no.
Come on.
I don't know what a fox says. Isn't that the whole point of the song?
Din, 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 din.
I don't have a microphone for a reason.
You need a fox noise.
Don't they purr?
They're dogs.
They're dogs?
Dogs don't purr. It goes, ah!
Oh.
That's what I was looking for.
Oh, sorry.
The correct answer was, ah. You said, ah.
I failed.
Okay, anyway. Brighton, and everyone's memeing Brighton. Brighton are memeing themselves at this point.
Yes.
Because they are now returning to the positive XG difference. And we've got an audio clip to play.
Duffy, big appeal for handball. Corner's been given. Wow. There was a very, very big shout for handball. Duffy's header. And VAR will obviously take a look.
Vestergaard knows it from his reaction. I think he knows his arm was up in an unnatural position. Here's the slow-mo. It's going to be an interesting call. Definitely strikes his arm. Is it in an unnatural position? He's being held a little bit by Maupay, and I think that's what his argument will be. When you look at Neil Maupay, he's got hold of Vestergaard's right arm.
VAR still having a look at it. This is what they're seeing, Matt.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is when you are a standing defender and you're trying to defend against Duffy.
Okay. If you didn't watch the game, that was a clip from inside the Leicester box, and Vestergaard touched the ball with his body. You can touch the ball with your body as long as it's not unnatural. And you can touch the ball unnaturally as long as you don't do it in a way that looks like it was your arm. These are the rules of soccer, and these are the way we must play it by. Blair, can you take me through why this was a weird call and why maybe it wasn't a handball and maybe Brighton should have gotten a penalty and maybe they shouldn't have won 2-1 and maybe this was a travesty and the sport's dead?
Yeah. So Vestergaard goes up to make a play on the ball, and Neil Maupay's kind of got hold of one of his arms, right? And his other arm is free. And so that throws Vestergaard off balance. And so what you do is you use your other arm to sort of recenter your balance in the air. And by doing that, Shane Duffy, I believe, who heads the ball, hits it into his free hand that's kind of high up in the air. And that creates a situation where his hand touches the ball. Now, watching the replay, it looks like a lot of the shit happens before Vestergaard touches the ball in, I guess, interferes with the headed shot. And if that goes to a VAR check and you can kind of see these things that precede the moment where he hands the ball, I feel like it's kind of a harsh call.
Are you saying that Vestergaard was fouled before he hits the ball with his hands?
I don't know by the letter of the law if it's a foul, but it's certainly like, I mean...
It's not him just hitting the ball. It's him being roughhoused and by consequence of being roughhoused, hitting the ball.
I would call it like an incidental moment. I wouldn't say that it was like, it wasn't like Vestergaard was using his hands to give him like upward momentum on the jump and then like one of them hit the ball. That would be a handball. It was like, he's in the air, he's thrown off balance, he tries to recover, and he like swings his arm wildly and it hits the ball. So yeah, it was pretty rough for Vestergaard.
Yeah.
I don't know about that call, personally.
Well, I'm sure the Twitter sphere will come to a reasonable and fair conclusion to all this.
Yeah, the pitchforks aren't out yet.
But anyway, the Brighton win 2-1 against Leicester at the Lemex Stadium, where Brighton play.
Amex, right?
Lemex.
Lemex.
Lamex. What did I say?
Is that what they call it? Lamex?
Like Amex, but with an L.
Is that it? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I always thought it was just the Amex because they're like sponsored by American Express or whatever.
The Lamex Stadium for sponsorship purposes.
Interesting.
Broad Hall Way. That's the real name.
Yeah, that's better than the corporate shit.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so they won 2-1. Neil Maupay and Danny Welbeck, the old gunner, scoring to bring Brighton to 4th place on the table. Huge.
The cool zone, baby.
That's the cool zone if there ever was one for Brighton. And I think a lot of people don't mind them up there. I don't think they'll stay up there, but it's definitely a nice change of pace than last year. So for those of you who haven't been keeping up with everything, Brighton were playing soccer last year. You might not have seen, but in the last season, they were playing games decently well and losing them. And their XG, this is the last time we're going to talk about this, their XG was pretty good. They just weren't scoring the goals. So their XG was higher than their goals. Okay? But this time, it's reversed. And they're scoring goals. And because of that, they're in 4th place, and everyone's so happy.
Yeah, so... okay.
Except
yeah. So in this case, it was to Maddie's chagrin, understandably. But yeah, they've scored 7 goals and they've conceded 4, which is a good way to win games.
Pretty neato mosquito, if I say so.
Yeah. So Brighton are an interesting club because they play like pretty fun soccer, I would say. They set up like in a 3 or like a 5-3-2-1 or something like that.
Like a 3-5-2-1.
3-5-2-1.
I mean, nope, that doesn't match because that's more than 11.
Sorry, 3-4-2-1.
Yeah, 3-4-2-1. So like a 3-4-3, really.
Yeah. And yeah, they just play kind of like pretty quick, like one-touch soccer. And yeah, I've always sort of enjoyed watching Brighton play and kind of think that Graham Potter is a pretty good manager. This is sort of like the sort of short-lived dream run that Southampton had last year, where I think they were kind of just on the outside of the top 4 early on in the season.
A couple games there where they were top of the table.
Yeah.
And everyone was cheering them on.
It was so fun.
Yeah. And it was Danny Ings that had a great season.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, not going to go back to any criticism I levied against Danny Ings at any point, but yeah. So, definitely a great start for Brighton. Actually, not just a great start, Jacob, their best ever start in the Premier League. Yeah. So hats off to them. They are certainly, doing the thing. Those Brighton boys are at it again. Is what we've got here in the dock, Jacob.
Those Brighton boys are at it again. Do we got a party sound effect? Or like a yay? No, like on the board. Oh, no, that's not what we want. What is that, a creaky wheel?
We're back.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Adam Lallana. Had a start and a full match for Brighton, and he's had a lot of injury struggles, so that's good from him. He had a decent game, and he's top 4 team right now. No one can take that away from you.
Really can't.
Yeah, Leonard Trossard, man of the match, IMO.
Yeah.
He had an assist. He was dangerous on the ball. Let me bring up a couple of key stats he's got here. He managed 2 shots and had 7 duels won, 6 duels lost. Well, maybe not the man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I don't know who the man of the match was, Jacob, but Danny Welbeck's headed goal was really good.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice accuracy from him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a ton to say about Brighton, to be honest. They're playing well to start the season.
Yeah, and I think good things. What's their next game, Blair? Can you bring that up?
Let us see, Jacob.
Yeah.
Googling things.
Such a weird
So they play Swansea in the EFL Cup this week on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, it is Crystal Palace.
Then they
on Monday,
should
September
expect
27th.
to come away with a W there.
Yeah. I think they will be favored. It's on the road. Crystal Palace are playing some better soccer than they were to start the season. So, maybe a bit of a test, but Brighton are playing better right now.
Palace are a bit wishy-washy. They could pop off or they could be a dud.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about Leicester and Jamie Vardy more specifically. Because at some point, Jamie Vardy will not be playing for Leicester. And that's something that they are going to have to adjust and transition into. Now, he had Leicester's only goal. His 150th in the Premier League. No, I'm sorry, for Leicester City. Total across all competitions. I don't say this a lot because I think it's overused as a word, but he is a legend of the game because of where he came from, because of what he achieved there, and because he stayed at Leicester to continue to compete with them, even when he could have gone elsewhere. And this is something that you don't see almost at all. And I think it'll be a sad day when he has to hang up his boots and walk off. But Leicester are making steps to continue on without him, and they have signed Patson Daka as the future, the prince that was promised. And they didn't really look great. I don't think James Maddison had a great game. Harvey Barnes, you said, was offside in both of the goals he managed to score, right?
Yeah, so there were 2 goals called off by VAR for Leicester.
Yeah.
And in each case, Harvey Barnes is basically screening Sanchez, who's Brighton's keeper, and...
Oh, sorry, yep.
That's a no-no. So, yeah, that was a bit of bad luck for Leicester. In the first instance, I believe, on the first one that was called back, I think it was kind of obvious that he was screening him, but on the second one, it was a little less so. And in the quotes after the game, Brendan Rodgers was a bit miffed by that. And even Graham Potter conceded that they had some luck go their way with the calls. So, if you're a Leicester fan, maybe you're feeling a bit aggrieved at the moment. Maybe you're making certain facial expressions.
Maybe you're flicking off the camera
as you produce a podcast. Understandable feelings as an Arsenal fan. But, I think, I don't know. They started out pretty flat, yet James Maddison, man, I don't know what's going on with James Maddison. He was subbed off at halftime, I think.
Yeah, he was.
For Lookman, I
he's
think.
in a bit of a slump.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I'm sure it'll buff out.
Talented player, mid-prime player.
He's like 28, right? 27?
26.
Oh, wow. That guy's got time. Yeah. No, that's so young, Blair. Blair, 26 is so
24.
Young.
24. Sorry. You're so confident at 28 that I was like, all right, no, he's like 26.
Sorry. He's 24. He looks older than he is. Still, 26 is young. And Yuri Tielemans with an assist. So, Leicester still good. I think, personally, I think they're going to make top 6.
Yeah, they have a talented squad. I don't really see why not unless the wheels really come off this thing. So, yeah, I don't know. They seem to be just sort of struggling for form at the moment. And I don't know. I would say given their track record with this team that they should be able to turn it around. Some interesting developments early on in the season for them because Kelechi Iheanacho, who was featuring quite a bit at the end of last season, really hasn't shown up a lot.
Yep.
for them, and I thought he finished last season quite strong. So it's interesting. They also signed Daka, who is probably, he's competing with him for those substitute minutes, I guess, when Vardy's coming off. So
you can make the same case for Kaglar Soyuncu. Had a great season last year, and he's kind of been misfiring.
Yeah.
Euros must have really messed with him, I think.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of a Euros hangover.
Especially for Turkey. They overcooked that.
Yeah. And Leicester also had, the start of the season was sort of rough for them. They had like a rash of injuries in their defense. They had to sign Yannick Vestergaard quickly.
And he got injured.
Yeah.
He literally got injured.
He got injured, yeah. And unfortunately gave away the penalty today. So, yeah, I mean, I think, they probably just have to find some cohesion and just start trying to string together some performances. So...
For Leicester, just some quick notes. Ayoze Perez suspended with the red card from this game. Wesley Fofana, Mendy, Johnny Evans, and James Justin out with injuries. So,
most of our defense.
I think better things to come.
Jacob, let's talk some Champions League soccer, baby.
European nights.
The champions
around the continent.
We had a full slate of Champions League fixtures to inject straight into your brains.
Boy, oh boy, Blair, what were they?
Yeah, so some of the biggest lads in Europe clashing in dramatic fashion. Jacob, I'm very bad at headlines in the moment. We had Inter versus Madrid. We had Bayern versus Barcelona. We had Milan versus Liverpool. We had
Club Bruges.
Bruges versus PSG. Club Bruges, if you haven't heard of it, is Club Bruges. We had...
If you haven't heard, that's their name.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had a lot of great games.
Oh, wait, hang on. Just a shout out to Sheriff.
Yes.
Beating Shakhtar.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sheriff. The Moldovan team?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They brought their Spurs and their 6-shooters.
Yeah, not Spurs, but like their spiked boots.
Unlike Spurs, they're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But absolute madness and scenes from the 2 days of fixtures that we had. I'm going to spit off a few facts for you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some.
All right. So on the opening week, we had 6 red cards from the totality of the matches.
Oh boy, you got that one?
6 red cards. That's wild to me.
That is a lot of red cards.
It's a lot of red cards. There were 4 goals scored off of penalties. There were a ton of penalties awarded in the Sevilla-Salzburg match. There were 4 penalties awarded alone, 2 of which were converted and ended 1-1, which is pretty funny.
I like this last stat. I mean, this last stat you've got here. Can you tell me that one?
The Wednesday stat?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, on the Wednesday games, 4 of them finished with, 4 of the 8 finished with 3+ goals. There was the City Red Bull Leipzig game that ended with 9 total goals.
9.
Yes.
That's 1 every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
City
so many.
Scored 6. Leipzig scored 3 off of Christopher Nkunku, who we've talked about earlier and in previous episodes, who had a hat trick. Crazy game. Yeah, I think that also had a red card to Angelino, I think, for Red Bull Leipzig went off in that game. Just really, really strange. Let's see. Sporting versus Ajax. There were 6 total goals. I believe Ajax had a player that scored, if not a hat trick, they might have scored 4 goals. I can't quite recall.
I think it was
Sebastian
5-1
yeah.
Ajax.
Yeah. And then the Liverpool-Milan game had 5 goals. So
we won't.
AC Milan, that is.
Yes, not Inter. We won't talk about Liverpool-Milan because we're trying to stray away from Liverpool or Arsenal this episode because we do talk about them a lot.
A lot, yeah.
But a great fixture that has returned to Europe. I think everyone, and I mean everyone, is excited about that. But it's cool because not all the goals were from Manchester City. In the Manchester City RB Leipzig game, it was like 6-3.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like Nkunku,
Great
funny,
player.
funny. I say fun name to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, my words are just scrambled. It's because I'm so excited about the Champions League, about European soccer. Blair, we're going to talk about 2 of the Champions League games. It's the 2 we told you about earlier, the ones to watch. Did you do your homework? Did you watch them?
Did you watch them?
There's going to be a book report on this. And did you read the Champions League game? There's going to be a quiz. Credit, no credit. It's fine. Can you do Inter Madrid, please?
Okay, so Jacob, we just talked about some fun facts from the week, from the 2 games, 2 match days. And of the 2 games that we recommended to watch, there was the Bayern Barcelona game that ended 3-0, and there was the Inter Milan Real Madrid game that ended 1-0. So
now you watched the Inter Madrid game, and I watched the Barca Bayern game.
Yeah, I think I might have watched one of the 3 most boring games that happened this week.
Okay, why is that?
In the Champions League.
What happened?
I mean, the scoreline was 1-0. Inter basically dominated the first half against Real. They produced 14 of their 18 shots in the first half. No goals, which was a bit unfortunate for them. And yeah, I mean, it was just like both teams were just kind of, they were out there, man. You know, I wasn't super impressed with either of them. Obviously, Real were kind of on the back foot in the first half, and they came out a lot better in the second half. They ended up scoring the game-winning goal.
In the dying minutes, right?
Yeah, it was the 79th minute.
Not maybe not dying, but yeah.
Yeah, so Eduardo Camavinga came on. I'm sorry, I mistyped. It was the 89th minute. So it was the dying minutes, Jacob. But Eduardo Camavinga came on for Modric.
Eduardo.
Yeah. Who is a very interesting figure, Camavinga, that is.
Fun, exciting, prospect.
Yeah, 18-year-old.
He plays for the worst team.
Yeah, he plays for Real, so, you know. Came out of the French league. Very interesting backstory. I recommend you look into him. He's someone to root for.
Why don't you tell me? Because I actually don't know his backstory.
Okay, so I believe he was born in Angola in a refugee camp to Congolese parents. They moved to France when he was young. They had their house burned down.
Jeez.
He got into soccer, and you know, he's been rising in the ranks. I think he was playing for Rennes last year.
Fire soccer as one transitions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and basically the story goes that their house burns down and the father kind of looks at Eduardo and says, "You're our only hope now." Yeah.
No pressure,
so no pressure,
kid.
dude. Yeah. So really, really dramatic backstory. You mentioned that Modric has something similar, Jacob, I believe. Right?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. We don't have to talk about Luka Modric, but...
Interesting that Camavinga comes on for Modric. Both interesting players.
Did it? Wait, that's kind of poetic.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so there was a nice play towards the end of the game. Camavinga found a cross to Rodrigo, who just volleyed it from the 6 and put it in the back of the net. So yeah, Real kind of found their sea legs, I guess. I keep saying that in this podcast. I don't know why.
That is the first time I've heard you say that.
It's the second time I've said it, I think, in the podcast. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't hear it the first time.
Mr. Sailor.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, Real take the points. They're happy with that, I'm sure. Some interesting things from the game that I noticed. I was very curious how the Dzeko partnership with Lautaro Martinez would go, and I was very impressed with Martinez's ability to sort of lead the break. He does a great job linking up with his teammates. He makes himself a target kind of in the middle of the field and does a good job of kind of distributing to teammates into space. And not only does he do that, he kind of sort of starts the break. He hustles, like he works really hard. And I noticed there's at least one play in particular where he kind of gathers the ball in the center circle, passes it off to a teammate, and then he finishes the play by sprinting all the way to the opponent's box and getting a pretty decent headed chance. So, you know, a lot of work rate from him. I was pretty impressed with what I saw out of him. Dzeko is a massive target in the box.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, and I have been expressing my skepticism of him, given that he is old.
35, 36.
Yeah, he's old. And I thought, going from Lukaku to Dzeko, it's like going from a Lamborghini to a Camry.
Oh, no, don't say that.
At least that was my feeling on it. And no, Dzeko, he's an interesting player. He doesn't move very quickly, but in the box, he's a huge target for headers. He had a pretty solid chance off of a header that I thought Courtois did a good job to save. But yeah, you can see that there's some possibility there. Also, Skriniar for Inter, he I don't know, man. He gets forward pretty far for them. He had a couple of chances in the box off of I think corners. So he's another person they might be targeting. But yeah, it was kind of strange to see one of their central defenders getting so far forward for.
Yeah, sometimes you get that. I don't. Going back to Real, Ramos did that a lot.
Yeah,
and he was kind of like a wild card in that sense. But that's. It sounded like there was. See, the way you're describing it, it sounded way more exciting than when you started this.
Yeah. So there were some things that interested me. I don't know if it was that exciting. I was certainly kind of keeping an eye on the other fixtures and feeling left out because there was so much cool shit happening in them. So maybe that was kind of playing into it. But yeah, I don't know. The first half, it was just kind of all Inter, and they seemed to be able to do everything but score. So, that was kind of well, okay. And then, Real come out and, the second half is more of theirs, I would say. Something else I noticed from the game was that Simone Inzaghi, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, was a lot more proactive with his substitutes than Carlo Ancelotti was, Inzaghi being the manager of Inter Milan. He started making his subs in the 55th minute. He brought on two players, Denzel Dumfries and Federico Di Marco. Brought on two more players in the 65th minute, Arturo Vidal and Joaquin Correa. So definitely changing some things up pretty early. He brought off Lautaro and Hakan Calhanoglu in the 65th minute, so kind of changing some of his attacking options. And Ancelotti didn't really start making changes until the 65th minute. So Inter had 4 subs before Real made the first. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is, I'm a fan of the early sub, but Ancelotti is kind of a proven manager, so maybe he knows something. Maybe he knows a little more than I do.
Yeah, and
probably not.
I think a change in the 65th minute still that's early enough to make an impact.
Yeah, it's better than some managers. Looking at you, Greg.
But yeah, the one for me was Inter's sub. Denzel Dumfries came on, and he was bombing up the field quite a lot for them. So they lined up in this 3-5-2 formation.
Yeah.
So Dumfries was the wing back. One of the wing backs.
The ring back.
And yeah, he got up the field quite a lot. He was making quite a lot of attacking runs, and he looked pretty promising for Inter, but I noticed that he had kind of issues with his touch. He was a bit loose on the ball.
A little loosey-goosey.
So yeah, Real take the points. Inter maybe deserve to get something more out of it than 0 goals, but hey, what can you do?
Heartbreak. But if you're going to lose to a team, at least make sure it's to a big one.
Yeah.
Because I think from this result, they might end up second in the group, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because I think the bigger thing for Inter at this point is not to do well in the Champions League. It's just to qualify for the knockout rounds for that sweet, sweet cash.
Yes.
I'll talk about Barcelona against Bayern. And you didn't watch this, did you?
I didn't see it, no.
Okay. I'm sure you saw people talking about it, and it was I think probably more exciting than Inter Real because there were more goals, and more goals equals more exciting.
Yes.
So Barcelona were at home in this. They faced Bayern Munich, and we said last week that Barcelona were going to be the underdogs in this competition. And we were right, because they lost, and they did not look in control during a single minute of this game.
Ooh, I'm looking at some of these numbers now.
Yep.
Yikes.
And so Ronald Koeman is a Dutch manager that is trying to rebuild this team, Barcelona that is, after the departure of one Lionel Messi and a couple of other superstars in the past couple of years. And so he's doing this around a young core of players, notably Frankie de Jong, Ansu Fati, and Pedri. And this is something that is certainly a work in progress. And so we come with a bit of a 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it, formation, depending on what stage of the game you're in. But the biggest thing, I think, in terms of the difference in quality between this team was that Luuk de Jong was a starting striker for this Barcelona side. He is a recent signing from Sevilla, and he's decent, but he's not the kind of quality that Barcelona need to be signing. They signed him this year, and I think that is exactly a showcase of the problems happening at Barcelona. There is a catastrophe of front office management. It's something that we have said over and over, I think, when talking about Barcelona. So I will move on to the part where I talk about Bayern just beating the ever-loving shit out of Barcelona. It was 3 goals, 2 from Robert Lewandowski and 1 from Thomas Muller. The first one Thomas Muller scored was a deflection. It should not have gone in, probably. Ter Stegen looked like he had it on, but it... Whoa, hey. Thomas Muller scored the first goal, and it was a deflection, and it should not have gone in. I think Ter Stegen had the ball saved, but it went the other direction. It went in. And from that point onward, that was it. There was... Bayern looked in control, literally the entire game. And they weren't even playing supremely well. It was just Barcelona were not able to create anything. It turned into Barcelona playing long ball. Barcelona playing long ball.
Yeah.
Barcelona are this historic team that are just known for fluidity of soccer, right? It's just quick passes, moving all around, interchangeable positions. A Dutch style and a Spanish style commingling into something that was dominant for so many years. And now they are on the back foot. Bayern were able to just control the game as they pleased, and they did not look at all threatened this entire time. I would like to highlight some players that you can keep your eye on in the future. Dio Upamecano is a recent signing. He was in control of the defense the entire time. He was incredibly quick. Anytime that Barcelona were trying to play upfield, he was able to snatch it out of the player's feet and redirect it to another player. I am not kidding when I say Neuer had nothing to do this game.
I know you're not kidding, Jacob, because there were 0 shots on target from Barcelona of the 5 that they took.
Yeah. All he did was gather up the ball sometimes and pass it back out and let Bayern, the rest of the outfield, do their thing. Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka are a fantastic duo in the midfield that I don't think will need replacing at all at any point soon, since Leon Goretzka recently signed an extension with Munich. They were feeding up to Thomas Muller, who would then feed out to one of Jamal Musiala, a young talent that we've talked about, and Leroy Sané, and then that would then go up to Robert Lewandowski, who poached twice from inside the box. These goals, they weren't a result of playing around Barcelona, beating them on a run or a fantastic shot. They were literally from them being inside the box so long, a deflection would come off a defender at some point, fall to Robert, and then he would just bang it in. It wasn't like something that this Bayern Munich masterclass. It was just Barcelona crumbling before our eyes. I mean, I'm looking at these names right now. Sergio Busquets is no longer able to put in a full 90. That's not like a bad thing because he's older now, but that's they're still relying on him as a starting player. The same thing can be said for Jordi Alba. He looked diminished. He is older. Both of them have taken pay cuts, but they're just not the players they used to be, and that's fine. This is a natural thing, but now Barcelona need to think about replacing these two. You could see the frustration in Frankie de Jong's actions during the game. He was very moody the entire time, probably because he saw his players not defending like they should be. And Ronald Koeman is trying to work around this with the young players. The most threatening player, ironically, this game was Philippe Coutinho. The substitute and former Bayern man. He was loaned from Barcelona and was part of that famous 8-2 result when Bayern came to Bayern faced Barcelona in the pandemic bowl, essentially. And he was on the receiving end this time. And it was funny, after the game, it's kind of like a very German thing, I think, but Neuer was giving part of the post-game press conference, and he said, they should rely on Philippe Coutinho more. He's very threatening, and I felt the most threatened when he was coming towards me. And it's kind of like a big insult because he's telling Barcelona, "Oh, you should play this guy, Ronald. He's quite good. You don't know how to do your job."
Yeah,
and it was all quite good. So there's all you need to know right now. Personally, I think Bayern Munich are favorites for the Champions League this year. They look very, very good, even against. They've recently played RB Leipzig, the arguable number 2 team in the Bundesliga. They beat them 4-1, and they've recently faced a promoted side, VfL Bochum, and they beat them 7-0. So they've had a string of very good results. They have a lot of great players. They have a lot of depth. I am going to go through their subs really quickly. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, a fantastic second-string striker. Michael Cusson, a great midfielder. Marcel Sabitzer, another fantastic midfielder. Lucas Hernandez, a third rotational defender. Mark Roca, he needs minutes, but he's quite good on the ball. Serge Gnabry, Kingsley Coman. I don't even need to say anything about those two. So I think they've got a very strong squad to go forward this year. We might be talking about a treble. I don't know. I don't want to go into too much hyperbole, but this was really a one-team show. And while Inter Real might have been boring because it was one goal and not a lot happened all game, this was exciting because there were 3 goals, but it was boring because Bayern never looked threatened at all.
Yeah. Kind of an interesting thing here. I mean, you talk about the depth, the considerable depth that Bayern Munich have. Yeah. If you look at the substitutes that were brought on for Barcelona, Youssef Demir, he is 18 years old. Gabi Paez, I've never heard of you. You're 17 years old.
Oscar Mingueza.
Oscar Mingueza, he's 22. A lot of young players.
And I mean, the guys on the bench that weren't brought on, Serginho Dest, Ricky Puig, and yeah, and so like these guys are younger.
Umtiti, right? I guess, if you want to give him a shout.
Umtiti has his own problems with Barcelona. So it's Barcelona are in transition. I think people now have to be used to Barcelona as a team that is building again.
Yeah.
They have lost a bunch of players. They've made a lot of financially terrible decisions, and they are now paying the consequence for that. Are they permanently dethroned? Probably not. But it's going to be a tough road for the next while.
Yeah, I think Barcelona's a club that has pull. And, you've seen it with teams that are kind of struggling for form, kind of in a diminished state. United, where Manchester United were kind of, wallowing for a while. They still have been able to bring in top talent, partly because they can afford to pay them a lot of money. But Barcelona certainly have the pedigree, the history, the good players are still going to want to go there. And hey, by the way, you get to live in Barcelona, which is pretty nice to hear. So
yeah, I think, who is to say which city is more attractive, Barcelona or Manchester? We'll see where they end up. So yeah, so here's the thing, guys. We're going to try to do, we're going to try to do a Champions League podcast. And when I say Champions League, I really mean European League, because there's the Europa League and there's the Europa Conference League on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays of some weeks while it's the group stages. And usually, we're pretty busy during the week. So we're going to try and get that organized. We didn't do that this week because we had to go to a concert. Maybe expect that. We're going to try and work something out. Talking to you. So let's wrap up with France.
Yeah, so this week there was some big news out of France. They expelled a few American ambassadors after the U.S. signed a bilateral defense agreement with Australia.
We need to do that in the NPR voice.
Basically, what it means is that Australia will be buying...
In France today, the capital was under siege. Who's running? Who's so and so has announced her campaign for the French presidency, as Macron is incredibly unpopular. Who is it? I don't remember.
Anne Hidalgo.
Popular political analyst Anne Hidalgo.
Mayor of Paris.
And when I say analyst, she's analyzing her mayoral duties day in and day out. Okay. Anyway, so there was a small riot during the Lille-Lens game. So Lille were at Lens, and some fan violence occurred. Basically, the Lens supporters invaded the field and went to the away section. So they ran across the field at halftime. So all the players were off, and they ran over and they were yelling at the Lille fans, and this instigated the Lille fans, who then came on to the field, and basically there was a fight, and they had to get riot police and the other stewards during the game to intervene and break them up and get the fans back to their little category seats. And then basically they had to sit down and say, hey, should we continue this game? Because that was some crazy shit.
Yeah. They keep doing this.
And this is not... this is after was it Marseille?
It was Marseille versus... Oh, it's going to escape me at the moment. I'll find it, Jacob.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice, Marseille. Marseille were at Nice. And it was suspended because there were some bottles thrown at Dimitri Payet, and then the fans came onto the field because Dimitri Payet responded he might not have been the smartest thing, but it's understandable because he's being disrespected on the field.
I think it was actually Guendouzi that threw the bottle back into the stands.
Oh, right.
Payet got hit with something.
Yeah, but didn't he yell back? Was what I'm saying.
I think he did as well. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of fan involvement, to put it lightly, in the games.
Yeah, I don't have any analysis of this. I thought it was just crazy because France has been popping off.
Yeah, I mean, this is the third time this has happened. There's another game, I think also involving Marseille, where there were projectiles thrown on the field. We saw this too in the Gold Cup, I want to say.
No, this was in the World Cup qualifiers, right? Oh, you mean... Oh, yeah. Because...
In Denver.
In Las Vegas.
Or was it the CONCACAF final?
It was the CONCACAF final. Yeah, because it was that picture, Christian Pulisic scored, and then they threw a bunch of stuff at him, and Giovanni Reina got hit with a bottle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So soccer can be crazy sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of unruly fans. Seems like people are still trying to figure out how to go back into public.
I mean, same.
Yeah.
Same, but maybe, resist the urge to beat people that are simply playing a game.
Have the good sense to not fight strangers over a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty minimal. I was going to talk about PSG Lyon if Messi scored, but he didn't, so I don't care.
That end 1-1.
It ended 2-1. Mauro Icardi scored in the 93rd minute.
Jeez. Oh, no, Messi came off.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. He played, unless he was injured, in which case, uh-oh.
I think it was an injury, though, because somebody I follow was tweeting about it.
Well, let's... Ashraf Hakimi comes on for Lionel Messi. Problem here... No, doesn't say anything about an injury on the Google timeline.
So this is what was said. We can cut this probably, but I dislike Poch as much as the next guy, but the substitution happened because Messi was indicating that his left knee hurt. He spent a few minutes trying to put weight on it and running around gingerly. The commentators were even asking if it was a chronic or a knock.
Okay.
That's
Messi
from Zeets on Twitter.
Usually pretty good at being injury resistant, but he is older, so he's probably going to play less, especially given the unfamiliarity with the club. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but it could be awful. This could be. Anyway, point is PSG need some WD-40 on the gears because they're not clicking. And I don't know. I mean, isn't this always the case with any sports discussion where if you assemble a bunch of superstars, they don't always necessarily perform together well?
Yeah, or just maybe not right away.
For sure.
The Miami Heat were kind of a classic example of that, where they took a couple of seasons to sort of gel and get it right. It's not really easy for players to come together where you have a team that assembled based off of players who kind of understand their role and play a certain role. And when you build a team around superstars, their role is to be like the focus of attention on the ball.
Yep.
And so when you have multiple superstars, they need to figure out how to play together. So
especially since Neymar's evolved from this flashy winger to a much more deep-lying playmaker for PSG because he was facilitating for Mbappe or Icardi or Maria. So, yeah, I think it's weird. It might be weird for Neymar to kind of shift back maybe because obviously if you're going to pick between the two, Messi is going to be the deep-lying guy, the quarterback.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to add there. Gosh, this was another long episode. A lot of this is useless. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I don't know. I think I'm going to leave the part in where you say, I think I'm going to go throw up after this.
No, please don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think the fans need to hear that.
A little inside baseball.
Yeah.
We're not. I'm perfect.
My body is a temple.
Okay. We'll wrap it here. For you guys, you can see it, but I'll spell it out because the sign's much smaller than we anticipated. You can reach us on Twitter. Blair runs the Twitter most of the time, so he'll probably see it. Blair, what's our handle?
At the Plastics Pod. Capital T for the, capital P for plastics, capital P for pod.
Beautiful, and we have good content. And I think I'm still learning the Twitter game, so you'll have to forgive me. But I think we do good content, and Maddie produces great content for our Instagram, which is Plastics Podcast, and we've got infographics there on all our new episodes. Anything that happens during the week that might be notable, we post about, and it's just another thing for you to follow and like and validate us.
Yeah, reach out, say something to us, tell us what we're doing wrong, tell us what we're doing right.
And lastly, if you have questions, if you want us to talk about something, I'm more than happy to devote a segment to a topic or a player or a team or a league, whatever. If you email us at plasticspodcontact@gmail.com, it's fucking, we'll do something. I don't know.
Yeah, send us an email.
Yeah, rate, subscribe on any platform to us if you want to hear us more, so that we can have more fans. so that we actually know, because if the more you interact with us, the more we'll interact with you. So as long as you follow us, as long as you email us or like or comment, we can get a sense of what people want to hear. Because right now I'm trying to focus, and Blair's trying to focus on the Premier League, Blair.
Yes.
European stuff that's interesting.
Yep.
And the U.S. national team when they play,
yes.
Men's or women's. So it's and if something else is sparking the brain, I know someone wanted to talk about Wolves. We talked about Wolves a lot, Cam. So I hope you listen to this one. Okay. Anyway, that'll wrap it up. Blair, anything else?
Nothing from me.
Great. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you midweek the week after when European nights happen once again.
Yeah. See you then. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
My chicken get brilliant. Sweats it in.